What is going on, everyone? You are back on another edition of the Coach's Corner. I am Justin Dueppengiesser, and I am joined, as always, by my guy, Caleb James. Caleb, what is going on, brother?
Not a whole heck of a lot. Before we get too far into the video, make sure to like and subscribe this video, and make sure to subscribe to the Coach's Corner. Probably won't be as recording as frequently as we has in the past, but that's because we are putting in a lot more time and effort to create these big film compilations, and they take quite a bit of time to finish. Getting into the dog days here, too. Started mini camp today.
Yeah, they sure did. I'm literally just excited to see pictures and still shots of guys lining up and playing football. I was just looking at it actually before we jumped on here, and I was trying to figure out what group they were in and who was where and who's running where and all that kind of stuff.
Dude,
Totally
it's been crazy.
overanalyzing, just totally overanalyzing everything right now.
Before we get into it, I got a little story to tell
Oh
about
yeah,
my Saturday night. I had this past Saturday night. I ran into a couple of Chiefs players. So, as you know, the UFC charges an insane amount of money for their fights that they make you pay for. Even though I pay for ESPN Plus monthly, they still make you pay on top of that to get their premier fights. It's stupid. They should just sign a contract with ESPN like all the other major sports do.
right.
But Buffalo Wild Wings has like the Ultimate Fight Pass or whatever. They're partnered up with the UFC, so they show every fight there. It can be a pain in the ass, but fortunately, for some reason, it wasn't like a Conor McGregor fight, so there weren't as many people there. There were still good fights on. It was Nate Diaz came out of retirement. He got all bloodied up, and then Adesanya had another giant victory. He's probably one of the most underrated athletes in the world. And, there were some big upset fights also that happened. I went to a Buffalo Wild Wings down the road from my house with a couple of my friends. This is the Buffalo Wild Wings on Little Blue Parkway in Independence, right there, kind of by 39th Street. We got there about 8 o'clock. We hung out, we all ate, and then we just stuck around, just chilling, waiting for the end of the fight. I get up to go to the bathroom, and I want to say about 11:30, just as we're starting to get ready for some of the main cards. And I look over to my left on my way out, and I sit here and think I recognize. I'm like, oh, this face looks really familiar. And then I walk to where I could see this full table, and I see these two massive human beings sitting here. And it is Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, who were recently drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, both of which are about to be featured in this video, are sitting here at Buffalo Wild Wings in freaking Blue Springs or Independence or whatever, just sitting here chilling out, watching the fights like a couple of regular guys. My friends, I mean, I was the only person in there that recognized them, which is weird because they were probably two of the biggest humans I've ever seen in my entire life.
Right.
I waited till the very end of the night, and I went up to ask them if I could get a picture with them or something. Because as you guys know from following along with us, I've been a fan of Trey Smith for a long time, and I've been really watching film on him and Creed both for close to a year now on the both of them. So I thought that was kind of a surreal, crazy moment to run into them. Super cool dudes, super nice. They were totally down to take a picture. But they all said they were loving it in Kansas City. They were just out like a couple of regular guys trying to get out and watch the fights on a Saturday night. I thought that was kind of funny that the same thing me and my friends thought we were going to do. These guys occurred to them to do the same thing. I got a picture of them, and I kept getting comments from everyone I knew who saw the picture. They said, "You're not a small person at all, but those guys look like they're planets." I mean, those guys look like they're massive. And I mean, I've stood up next to some big people before. I've never stood up next to anyone bigger than Trey Smith. And Creed Humphrey, a lot of people said he's kind of like a stockier guy. He's 6'5". He's not that stocky. He's just really built. So
Yeah.
that was a super cool run in I had, but that will kind of bring us into the point of why we're having this video here today.
Yeah, no, I saw the picture. You were not lying. That is two of the biggest dudes you'll ever see. It is wild. Go check out Caleb's Twitter, CJ Scoobs. You can see the picture for yourself and see how big
We
these
could try to attach it into here at the end or nail it
are.
in something maybe.
Yeah, we'll figure something out for sure. But yeah, which brings us in, like you said, what we're going to be doing today. We are going to be breaking down a little bit of what we think you might be seeing a lot more of next year in Kansas City's offense, which we started to see some of it last year, and that is the Chiefs get a little bit away from the zone scheme type stuff and get into more gap scheme type stuff because of the two guys that we just mentioned right there, and Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, but also because of Joe Thuney and Orlando Brown. And you'll see CEH clips here and D Will and how they kind of take advantage of some of this gap scheme blocking that the Chiefs did last year, and you know how bad the O line was last year, but even then, the clips that I was able to pull up from this were from the AFC Championship game against the Bills and the Super Bowl against the Bucks, and they were some of the most effective run plays. So, well, we're going to start right there. We're going to show you kind of some of the stuff. Let me share the screen here, and we'll show you kind of what we're talking about when we mean gap scheme. So basically, gap scheme is anything that you're basically blocking down, right? So you're blocking down. The front side's blocking down. You have a puller and a kicker and a puller and a wrapper. So one of the first clips I'll show you here. I kind of drew it up on the Huddle software I have. We use this for our playbook and stuff and scouting for my high school team or whatever. So I drew up the first play and kind of what it looks like. And one of the things that the Chiefs always do, and I know, Caleb, you might have done an article about this maybe even last year, about all the motion that you see from Kansas City. And they really, even in this simple, counter play, they still have some sort of motion. They did this, I saw it with Tyreek Hill with this orbit motion, and they did it with McCole Hardman as well, where it looks like they're coming across the formation, they'll stop and they'll loop back and they'll come back to the same spot, and they'll run almost like a bubble, where you do have that RPO type option where you have a bubble screen with these receivers blocking out here, and then you have the run happening here, the counter run. But you can see here the way it works is you got the two front side guys, tackle guard, they're combo blocking up and back to the number 2 linebacker in the box. So when you count the linebackers, for people not familiar with this type of scheme, you count them from the play side over, right? So the play side linebacker, since this play is going to the right, is the Mike in this case, the M, he's the 1, the Sam is the 2. So they're blocking back to the number 2 linebacker in the box, okay? The center's blocking back on the nose, all right? And then the guard's pulling and kicking the end man on the line of scrimmage. In this case, it's the DN. And then the tackle is going to wrap. So he's coming right off the butts of these down blocks, and he's wrapping for the number 1 linebacker in the box. Okay, so the first clip you'll actually see here, Travis Kelce, he has a nasty split, which means the split is reduced. So he's tight to the line of scrimmage, which causes this defensive end actually to stand up, and it looks like he's going to tries to get a chip on him, which makes it even better because it makes it an even easier kick out block because he stays so wide. Okay, and then you'll see Darrell Williams, that is, he does this little counter jab step, and he comes back and he runs it. So we'll bring it up here. I was watching before we jumped on. Let me wind it.
So pulling guard. I was just going to say real quick,
yeah,
the side this is pretty much just going to be an ass kicking play. But the reason the Chiefs were able to run this last year is because you see those weak box numbers. Even though they didn't have the talent on the offensive line, these are the kind of plays you can win with some positional blocking if you put it in. If you can position yourself well enough, there doesn't have to be like a tremendous amount of movement. And, the Chiefs also had some pretty good running back play at times last year between Clyde and Darrell. So that definitely helped also. But go ahead and show this clip, because this one was definitely an ass kicker. I mean, they ran over the Bills in this game.
Yeah, a couple things to notice before we put this out. One, notice the 2 high safeties. Caleb just mentioned light boxes, right? So you got 2 high safeties, which leaves only 6 in the box. And then you'll see it more in the tight shot, but you'll see how far even this linebacker is pulled towards that trip side, towards that motion with Tyreek Hill, which creates an even easier path for Mike Remmers to get on this down block. So here's from the wide. This is a nice, tough run by Darrell Williams here, too. He gets after it. So here's your little orbit motion, Tyreek Hill. He goes back. Boom, there's your kick, there's your wrap, and then D. Will finishes it by running over the safety, which you love to see. And you get a good look at it here from the tight shot. So here you go. So they shift.
Look at 49.
Back. So
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So linebackers shifted way out, right? like I said, he's going back to Tyreek Hill, creates that great angle for Remmers to create that wall. Look how wide the defensive end is that they have to kick. Leaves, if this tackle wraps for this play side linebacker, he's the guy that has to make the tackle. And Darrell Williams just runs him over into the end zone. And if it's Clyde, Clyde's just going to make a miss or run him over. You'll see a clip later where Clyde runs over a safety. So there you can see the jab, wide, boom, boom, finish the play. Watch it again real quick. Now this is Austin Ryder, right? So Ryder's not like a huge guy, but you can see that position block. He gets just enough, and he almost loses it even, but he gets just enough. You know,
and that wasn't even that big.
A guy that can probably do that even better, right?
Yeah, I was going to say real quick, that wasn't even that big of a hole there. It's just that there was just enough crease at the very beginning of the play based on how the Chiefs were able to blitz that with the alignment that they were able to get it off. It wasn't even necessarily a big ass-kicking play. It was just that Darrell Williams was able to find just enough of a crease to get it through.
Absolutely. So then here's another little wrinkle off of counter. This time, again, we talked about the motion. Instead of Tyreek Hill doing the orbit motion where he comes back, he just fast motions across the formation. And in the last play, you saw the guard pull and kick in the tackle wrap for that number one linebacker in the box. This time, you're going to see the guard pull and kick, and the H-back or the move tight end, in this case, Travis Kelce, he's the one that ends up wrapping and blocking the number one linebacker in the box. So a little bit of a wrinkle there, and what you'll see the backside tackle do, he does what we would call as a gap seal. He'll step down into the gap to make sure there's nobody spiking into it, and then he'll fan out and make sure that this defensive end or end man on the line of scrimmage doesn't chase down and make this play. So let's take a look at it. Fast motion. So not a huge gain here, but you can see, and you'll see why. So what ends up happening is JPP, and this is why I kind of wanted to show this. This play should be huge. Okay. JPP attaches himself to the down blocks of the tackle, and Allegretti doesn't see it. He should be logging and blocking him because he's technically his responsibility. And when he logs and runs by him, he just pops back out and makes the tackle.
And now, Kelce should be coming up.
Yeah, exactly. And Joe Thuney now, this is an all-pro guard who runs power and does this pulling type stuff. I think that you're going to see an improvement in this, but you can see how this kind of sets up, the development sets up there.
And Wiley doesn't really do him any favors either, clearing it up. If Wiley was better on this play, he'd have ripped his outside shoulder through and gotten up to that backer and not let all this happen. He just kind of stays conservative and doesn't just rip up and go, and that muddles things up for Allegretti. But as the guard here in this situation, you're taught you got to take the first thing you see, even if it's just a little bit of color and it's a guy hanging on a guy, because you have to be able just to get that first level sealed. And, they're able to get something on it, but it's not what it could have been. That could have been a rip if they can get one more player on that. Because if you go back even just a little bit, you see Kelce coming through, you see Pringle engaged in the block. Clyde is about to have a little bit of space here, like right about there. Like you see, that should be a rip right there. And instead it's not, because miscommunication, it's just a bad football play really from the right tackle and the left guard spot there.
Exactly. And I love how you point out the Wiley, not getting through and kind of muddying it up there, because it's definitely what he does. So here you go. So here's another 3-by-1 set. This time it's McCole Hardman and as the number 3. You get the orbit motion and you get your counter. Another good physical run, right? We'll watch it one more time. But here again, you have the nasty split. And you can see one of the adjustments Tampa made. They actually jumped the D-end outside and tried to insert a safety into the box.
Is that Winfield?
I think it's Whiteside. Or Whitehead, excuse me. So again, there's your formation. There's your extra safety trying to jump into the box to get a little bit of an extra, but you can still see how wide they are, right? Pretty physical here on the double team. They should have stayed on it a little bit. But again, this is the little things that you'll notice from guys who are backups and why they're backups, right?
Mm-hmm.
you'll see Ryder here. He put good position block, but he's starting to get blown back by Sue. Starting to get pushed back a little bit. But again, pretty solid gain. That's a 7-yard gain right there on just a good physical play.
Winning the angles.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, if you can imagine how much better that's going to look with just better players up front, then it's pretty easy to see why the Chiefs' offensive line is going to look better this year.
Exactly. So here you go again. This is that counter H play. You got the fast motion by Tyreek. And this is one, it looks like it's going to pop wide open. But you can see here, DN gets up the field so far, he takes himself out of the play. But that threat of the pass is always, these ends are thinking, pass rush all the time. And it makes it a pretty simple kick out block. And then Kelsey does enough, right? He doesn't have to kill anybody. He wraps and he's on that linebacker. You can see Remmers climbing.
Remmers actually made a really nice play.
What's that?
I said Mike Remmers made a nice play. If you watch him from left tackle here, he's going to come down and get just enough hip and crash in to help out Allegretti there, and then he's going to get up and seal off 54, or he's able to come back in. He played a big part in this play.
I'll tell you, he does a pretty decent job in a few of these that I watched. He's a guy that he'll compete for right tackle, right? He just his thing is, compared to the other guys last year, he's generally putting himself in the right position, right? He's not going to, he might not be the physical athlete that you want all the time there, but he's generally going to put himself in a decent position. So this
would you classify? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say real quick. Would you have classified that last play as a Y counter?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're on the same page.
So we call it, like, we would call it counter fullback, and all the fullback part of it would just say that the fullback is taking the job of the tackle, basically. Instead of the tackle wrapping for one, the fullback is. So I think you can call it counter Y or counter H, a couple different things, counter U, however you label that fullback, tight end, H-back type guy.
That's something Noah Gray did a lot of Duke.
Yeah.
They had in motion a lot of that H-back type blocking stuff.
He did too, for sure. So this is a different, this is power. This is just your classic single back power that all the teams run here. You get a little short motion by Kelsey. So the difference between power and counter, for the people that might not know, in counter, you saw the guard, he pulls and kicks the last man on the line of scrimmage, and the tackle wraps for the first linebacker in the box. In power, the fullback or the tight end or the U or the H is going to kick the end man on the line of scrimmage, and the guard is going to wrap and try to climb up to that linebacker. So here you'll see Kelsey, he kicks the end man on the line, Wisniewski wraps, and he gets up to the linebacker.
Feels like I'm back in the film room going over all these plays and stuff right now. It's been a while.
I wanted to show this run specifically, one, because it's, the gap scheme we're talking about. Two, it's a little change up from counter, but watch the finish by CEH on a dude that everybody says is small. Watch this. Boom! Right through him. And that's, that's a dude that is a physical runner. So
and look at the box.
Yep.
What if they're going to do that? You have to. I mean, it's a good job by Mike Remmers again, just putting himself in a position to win.
There's that box you're talking about. Look at that.
Yeah. I mean, look out here at 54 and look at 45. Look how wide they are.
It's unreal.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
Sue's basically
the two guys on the right are outside of the play. They can't do anything. So it's basically 3 on 5 right now, or 6, or whatever you want to call it, because those two guys on the right are out of the play. They're non-factors.
Yep. And if teams do this next year or this coming season, the Chiefs are going to be able to make them pay, because they're going to have the horses up front to be able to just dominate the line of scrimmage.
I'm counting a B gap, an A gap, and an A gap. No football players directly in them outside of middle linebacker right there.
Look at Ryder. Ryder's like, who do I block back on? Sue's basically on the tackle already.
He's got to go all the way back to Sue there, and Wiley's supposed to, or I mean, I'm sure they probably might have had a little twist game on here or something. So stick with your gap. Like you said, the most important part of the gap scheme is he's got to be able to know that whatever comes in his inside gap is going to be, it's going to be his man. And likewise, Rimmer knows there's a guy directly in his inside gap right now. That's his guy no matter what until there's not a guy in his gap anymore.
Yep, exactly. And then just another little wrinkle you'll see here in the backfield. Mahomes looks off the one way. He'll reverse pivot and actually hand it to CEH on the same side. So nifty little footwork there, but good hole. And man, I love the finish by CH there. He's still trying to drag him through, right?
He was juiced up.
Oh, dude, always. Let me see. We'll go another single back power here. They're just lined up in what I would call like a tray formation where you have tight end, two receivers to the same side. You can see Kelsey just blocking the end man on the line of scrimmage. And this is what Kelsey doesn't get enough credit for. Everybody talks about how poor of a blocker he is, but he does a really pretty good job of this, just positioning himself. And what did we talk about already? Is gap scheme. It's position. Now, what I wanted to show, again, was, all right, so we're talking power here. You can see how I labeled it, Wiley miss. So we have Kelsey kicking out. We have down blocks here. These down blocks by this guard tackle should be down on Sue trying to climb up here to Devin White, number 45, with this guard wrapping to number 1.
That should be an easy down block right there because that guy isn't even at a 3 technique. He's like a 2 high right now. So all Wiley should have to do is come in, knock his hip over a little bit, and set up Wisniewski, and then just be able to climb on the angle here. It shouldn't be as difficult as it ends up looking. Now, everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth, and Dominican Sue has been one of the baddest men in the NFL for a long time now, so it's completely understandable, but still the alignment is there for an absolutely great play off in the jump here.
Exactly. Now watch what Wiley does. Like he's not even looking to climb up. Now I don't know if it was something that they said, like take care of the line of scrimmage, but to me he just looks out of control, like he's just trying to slam guys down. It's like you need to, like, a great physical contact there, but man, slam him and then climb to 4 or 5, create a wall.
Like, Allegretti even has a good pull here.
I know. Look at the hole. Like
Allegretti gets a knockdown there, puts the guy on his ass.
CH finds it too, and it's just like, man, you make that block again. That's a big play.
All 5 things have to be going right on the offensive line for things to succeed.
Yep. One more here, and then we could jump over to some of the stuff that we'll see from the O-line where you found a bunch of clips. So again,
did you have a
motion we talked about, a little short motion.
Did you have a pin and pull play in there also?
Oh, I might have. Yeah, actually.
We got to go back to that one because that's something that it's after this one. That's something the Chiefs have been running a lot. And they've signed some guys that have run that play a lot also.
Yeah, for sure. So here we go. So this is, again, your single back power. This one sets up nice. This is their big gain here. I think this was right at the beginning of the second half. Set up 26. There's a broken tackle. If you've listened to this show since last year, I don't know how many times me and Caleb have pounded on the table that there's the one guy that is supposed to tackle Clyde Edwards-Helaire will never tackle him. He's going to win one-on-one battles all the time when it comes to guys in space. Well, here's a very good instance of it. So here you only get 6 in the box again. Make the guy miss, and you pick up an extra 15 yards because that safety misses in the hole.
It's a massive gap.
Watch the difference here between Remmers, right? So we showed Wiley on the last power play where he kind of just went hectic and missed the linebacker in the box, to watch Remmers climb to the second level here. So there's your motion. He steps down into his gap. He's under control. Contact on the linebacker, and it blows everything open. He's under control. Like we said, he puts himself into position to be able to make the blocks that he needs to make.
And Remmers is a borderline starter, backup type of guy. And I mean, it's just crazy to me to think that, people don't think the Chiefs offensive line is going to be that much more upgraded. And I'm like, they got that stuff out of Mike Remmers, who no one had even ever heard of outside of the sacks he's given up in the 2 Super Bowls he's played in. And he's even able to do this stuff just because teams are so afraid of 15 and 10 and 87. They're just going to let you wear them out on the ground. And I think this season coming up, that's absolutely something the Chiefs are going to have to look to take advantage of is wearing people out. Pin and pull, we're going to watch this one. It's one of my favorite plays of all time. Love this play
So
today.
so here's your little pin and pull here. Daryl Williams, you get your short motion. And it's funny because Kelsey even whiffs on the block here on the pin. Right, so Kelsey's supposed to motion down and pin this end man to the line of scrimmage. He lets the D end hop outside of him.
Another good play by Mike Rivers.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say Mike Remmers again, just making plays, putting them himself. You made the comment earlier on when a guard pulls, he's not supposed to pass color. Well, the tackle's pulling, same thing. You never pass color. Well, the first color he sees is that DN that jumped around Kelsey, and he gets the block.
He turns it into a reverse reach block.
Yep. So you'll see it ends up actually being Austin Ryder that ends up pulling the center, and he does a pretty nice job. This is the one thing that Ryder was decent at. He's athletic in space, good on screens, pass pro, stuff like that. But here you'll see you're going to get some reach blocks and then guys pulling.
The way the Chiefs run it, they pretty much run it the play side ends, and everyone else is just reach blocking that way.
Yep.
Which I'm a fan of because – number one, you can just pick up extra defenders. You see the backside cut there. That guy's not really going to get involved anyway. But now they're going to this is something they did with Fisher a lot because, again, they couldn't do a lot, but they could position block themselves enough around the edges to be able to get Fisher out. And Fisher's biggest strength was arguably his athletic ability. This is a play they ran really well. It's a play Clyde looked incredibly comfortable running. It's a play I think they'll see again. And the great thing about it is you can do it out of so many variations off of the defense. Some plays you'll have the tackle pulling. Some plays you'll have the tackle pinning and the guard pulling. So it all kind of depends on that stuff. But the more you keep stretching the defense and making the defense run with a guy like Clyde, more times you're going to get him in the spot to be able to make someone miss a tackle. And then that's when the special stuff starts to happen.
Yep. And then the other thing I'll point out is look at Byron Pringle. That's a linebacker, Matt Milano, he's blocking. I will give Pringle credit. That dude, he is physical and he gets after people when he blocks.
He's like off-brand Anthony Hitchens.
He gets after people when he tries to block.
Milano's off-brand Anthony Hitchens sometimes.
Dude, Milano just got paid. He's paid at like one of the top guys in the whole NFL for linebacker, which is insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So there's a little bit of the gap scheme stuff. You saw counter, you saw single back power, you saw pin and pull. You saw some of the reasons they didn't work, which was the Chiefs were playing essentially second and third string offensive linemen. And now we're going to see why we think they're going to be effective. Because you even saw in that the plays that weren't effective, they were still, 4-yard gains most of the time. And then, you'd have the ones that pop off for the 26, like the one play against the Bucs in the Super Bowl. But they're going to be upgraded at some of these positions.
Just 1 second. I need to see where I can try to screen share at here.
Yep, absolutely.
There it is. Share. And we're going to go down into here. We've been working on this stuff for quite a while, guys. So hopefully everyone enjoys it. Justin, I lost you on my end of this camera. Can you still see me and everything?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I can't see you at all, but I'm just going to go ahead and just roll with this while we got it up here. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So here's Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney's really, really good at what he does. These are the New England Patriots, and they've been running out of an offset I formation for years now and getting success. This is a play I've only seen the Chiefs run a couple of times since Andy Reid has been here, and it is going to be just like a straight-up ISO type of play. And you'll see here in a minute. This is something maybe we could see them run with this new offensive line group, because to be honest with you, I think they would be pretty good at blocking it. You see there, Tooney's going against Aaron Donald. This ISO play, actually, I don't know if I'd really classify this as ISO too much, but, because I guess the fullback kind of goes out here to the right. But still, we got Joe Thuney matched up with Aaron Donald here. And I can take this back just a touch here. And you can see off of the snap what's going to make him good. He recognizes where the ball is going to go and where the hole is going to go and how he's going to have to play Donald here. And he gets out. Now he's engaged. He's got those hands inside. How would you classify this play? Just curious from your perspective, because
It
Not
almost
really
it almost looks like a split zone with the fullback
split
going to the
zone.
backside, and then
Yeah, I guess you're right.
yeah,
I had initially thought it was ISO because you don't really see zone too much out of an I formation. This fullback's just going to cut this off. I guess that fullback cutting it off would be just the same as Travis Kelsey coming over and motion. But
exactly. Yeah, that's just the split zone part of it.
I haven't seen ISO in any setting out of anywhere. But you see, it's just a zone block. Tooney's got the excellent position here. And then he gets big. Donald's going to get his, Donald's one of the strongest dudes that's ever lived. But now you see Tooney's got him walled off completely. So he's going to win that rep. And then you see just the little fight. And then you see that little hand there at the very end.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the kind of stuff that's going to piss off defensive linemen a lot. We can go back. You see, he just right here. He just sets one more hand on Donald. Donald tries to go and swat it away. It's just that little pestering that's
yeah.
just gonna. It's what takes you from being good to being great. Here we go again. Here's Tooney, and I believe that's. Oh well, I don't know. I can't tell if that's Aaron Donald. I don't think it is on this one. Let's see what they do here. Now he's crashing down. He's crashing down here onto the nose tackle. And you see how much of that he gets out of there. And now he's going to be up to the linebacker. Okay, not necessarily what the Chiefs would run in this situation. I would compare this to something that the Chiefs would run. I think this was actually more of the true ISO, wasn't it?
This to me is what you're looking at when you're looking at like the play side of a counter. He's
Yeah,
down on, he's
power.
down and climbing to the number 2 linebacker in the box.
Yeah,
So
that's why I picked this one. Is when you look at this, the way he's going down, his angle. See, he's about to get hip to hip here with the center. He's going right here. Okay, he doesn't care about this. He's going right here. This is the kind of movement you're going to get when you see a when you're going against a 3-man front and you're playing and you're going to go against either power or counter because you see he comes in, boom, he's hip to hip. He is blowing up this nose. His objective this play is to knock this nose into the other A gap so he can get up to 41 and then just beautiful feet. He's able to get up, locks on, and finishes out the play. So that's the down blocking. That's the gap you're looking for. He's responsible for his gap, and once there's no color in his gap, he climbed up right away.
you need to understand how athletic of a move and a play that is for a guard to get to the second level and climb and get his hands on a linebacker like that. Like he's going from slamming down to nose tackle to climbing under control to blocking an athletic linebacker in space. It takes, I mean, that is really impressive.
And you know what's even more impressive? Look at his head.
Yeah.
He doesn't look at this. This is muscle memory. He is feeling where this guy is. And he had such good chemistry with Mark Andrews because they had played so many games together that he's able to know exactly what they need to do to get up to 41 here. Then he gets on, plays over. The play is over. Now he is up, and he is broken down. He's won the pad level battle. His hands are inside, and he just won this block and made it a really tough block look really easy.
Yeah.
Now we'll come down. Here he is right here. I'm trying to remember what this play was. Oh, little power. You know what? It's not the most devastating pull you'll ever see. Not every power play is going to be the most devastating pull, but I want to point out why he is so good at pulling and why the Patriots did rely on him so much. Joe Tooney, what, you think he might have been the second or third best player on the Patriots roster last year as a guard?
Yeah, he might have been.
I mean, I think it's possible. Take a look at the pull, though. They do a little bit of, they don't really skip pull too much. Sometimes the Chiefs do skip pull. He's more of an open puller. That's kind of what Bill Belichick likes. It's more downhill. But take a look at the first step. Gets where he needs to be. He gets enough depth. He gets enough width. And now he already sees it. He is locked on. He's all eyes. And you know what? He's just going to come in and create contact. And you know what? He's lower. He's built, hit the pad level. And this guy is all lean back. He's just trying to take on a blocker and fill up a body. It's not devastating, but that's what it takes to win plays consistently, especially when you're going to be playing an offense like the Chiefs. Maybe in New England, they would rely on more of a dominating, pull from him. In Kansas City, if he gets a pull like this 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a win for the Chiefs on this play. And look at the left, or look at his outside hander. He's trying to force this guy back upfield and prevent him from coming back this way into the play.
Well, and there's two things. This play is counter H just from the I formation, so it's the same play the Chiefs run, where the guard pulls and kicks. The fullback is the one that wraps and blocks the number one linebacker in the box. So again, what we're telling you is the Chiefs have running this stuff, and they're getting guys who are running these and executing these plays at an extremely high level compared to the guys that they had on the offensive line last year. And you're making great points there about, this isn't a devastating block, but he blocks it with great technique, right? So one of the big rules is if you're a guard, you want to hit with the shoulder to the side you're pulling to. So he's pulling right. He wants to hit with his right shoulder. Why? Because that way he puts himself in the hole and he doesn't allow the defender to get in the hole. He's widening the gap. He's not letting the defender jump into the hole. So he wins on the right side. And then, like you said, he's forcing him out. He's widening that gap. Boom. Win on the right side and keep widening the gap. I mean, it's just a really well executed block.
He's a stud for a reason.
No, yeah.
I've got a wide view play for an offensive line play here. You know what that means? We are about to see a big man do some running. And as you can see here, it's a little pin and pull action. And there's Big Joe around the edge picking up a dive. His team gets some positive yards there. Guys, this guy probably weighs 315. Look how far he moves, number one. Look where he starts. They are, around the right hash here? Look where he finished this play at.
And he has to avoid the penetration there, right? So 15 allows a little bit of penetration. He has to reroute on his pull.
I'll go back real quick so they can see it. You can see it a little bit better from the wide angle. Do you know how athletic you have to be weighing that much and moving that fast to be able to redirect? Because here it comes right about here. Yeah. He has to get around even more. And you have to have perfect technique to do that, to be able to redirect. If you pull, you have to be able to be straight down the line. It's easier to redirect out if you're straight down the line, which he does stay tight to the line. He takes care of that one. They end up getting a pretty good chunk of yards on this play just because they were able to take care of him. And, now just for the pull step here. This is beautiful. You look how flat he is to the line, though. He's going to see the penetration. He's going to be able to get out wider, Then he comes back. Sets this up perfectly. Great cut. Big hole. 31 is in trouble. He's going to have to try to force this play in. And I tell you what, man, the Patriots have some physical running backs. Right about here, you think Clyde wins this one-on-one here?
I do. I do. Like I said, Clyde doesn't get tackled one-on-one very often. That is he probably wouldn't even get hit. He'd find a way to just slip through that somehow. I don't even know.
You see all these plays that they're making Joe Thuney get out in space and run. But, it is just going to come down to how well he can just beat someone on the inside. He's just going to pull again. Another big-time block there. You know what this play is called? This is trap.
Yep.
You think this is trap here?
Yeah, rewind it. Let me see it again.
I'm pretty sure this is trap. I'm about 95% sure it is, just based on what these guys do and where Thuney goes. Might be a little bit of a delayed. I knew I had one trap play in here. It might have just been a really funky looking power play.
Yeah, no, I think that's trap because he's the only one. He's the only one pulling, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could just be a single back power with the tight end in there.
Yeah,
but it doesn't. It feels like it hits really quick to be power, though. It feels like it's hitting really quickly. Yeah, almost a little too quick.
To me, that's trap. That looks like trap.
He gets through, and then look. I mean, watch where his angle is when he makes contact here. Boom! I'm just gonna move you out of the way. I'm lower than you. My knees are. It's so easy for him to just win this rep. He's a machine, guys. I would compare how consistent he is with his. You can't get into that for just a second, but I would compare how consistent Joe Thuney is with his technique to how we saw Mitchell Schwartz with his technique. He almost seems like a robot in there because he's always so perfect in everything he does. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not even saying they're close to the same player. This picking him up reminds me a lot of having when they went out and got Schwartz. They've got their anchor of their offensive line now. They've got their captain. They've got their leader. But now they've got something more interesting they haven't had in a while. They have young talent and they might have one of the most talented guys in the NFL. This massive human right here is Orlando Brown Jr. This was, for all intents and purposes, the Chiefs' first-round draft pick this year. And one of the reasons why Baltimore's run game was so dominating this year is because he was excellent. And this is just a little power. This is just a little zone play. I mean, pardon me. Zone's not something the Chiefs are going to just abandon, even though they do look like they're going to have a better advantage. Because after all, it is an Andy Reid staple play. It is his bread and butter here. But look how much force he's going to put through this guy here and just a little bit of effort. I mean, he's getting up here, but look how much force he's going to put through this guy, and look how little effort. I mean, it even looks like he took. I mean, he basically makes that guy jump himself back into a place. Now, it's not a good play by any stretch of the imagination, but you see what they're going to have to work with here: the raw size, the sheer athletic ability. Now I've got another wide angle, which we're about to see what he can do in space here. There he is right here. He's going to be down blocking, creates the down block, gets up, and he basically just sealed off 57 from doing anything on that play. You watch it again.
That's perfect.
And I'll show you from the sideline angle. This is exactly what you're looking for on your counters and everything from the play side tight end and guard here. Let's go take a look at it. Still trying.
This is your counter or your power on the play side, right? You're getting all the down blocks. I love the way that they do this here with the tight end. Watch 89. He makes a little fake like he's gonna block, and he gets this tight end to come up the field, and then he gets kicked out. Pretty simple.
This is honestly a really interesting play because number one, this is going to be a really easy down block. I think he recognizes that right away. This guy being as far inside, almost practically a shade almost. Center is actually going to pull here. Why? This is a really long reach block to have to make, and it'd be easier for 72 just to back block and 70 to pull around. So they go with the old center pull, which having a center that can pull can always help. More of that here in a little bit. But you see, boom. This is hip to hip. That's a wall right here. You're not going anywhere on this. You're not doing anything. This play's over for him. And now they've created this wall. And you see all the purple pants. You see the white shirts. They've created this wall. And now 57 realizes he has a problem. He's got to go back over this. This guy's pulling up here. They got a really great kick out from the center. And then right here, Orlando's going to pick this guy off. And, the people are, the nitpickers are going to say, oh, that's illegal hands to the face. No, that is just getting beat because look at this ridiculously long arms this guy has. And look at how he's able to lock him out. And look at J.K. Dobbins going, man, this is easy. I'm clearly the best running back because I have all these massive holes to run through because my team's really going to run football.
Yeah. Yeah.
This down block the down block is just ridiculous. They blow it up.
It's so impressive to see Brown's size and then his ability to move on top of that.
It's incredible. I got some more of that where we're coming from. Let's see what did I pick here? Another down block. They don't really get up to the linebacker. But watch where this defensive tackle starts to play and watch where he ends. Where are they? About the 50-yard line here?
Yep.
About at the 50-yard line. Boom. We're hip to hip right now. They are just wearing this guy out at this point. They are hip to hip right here. And he is looking. I don't know what these guys are doing. He's looking. He can't go back over here. You guys look, why doesn't he peel off and go get this guy? Not his gap. This is his gap right here. This B gap is his gap. And right now, in his B gap, there's still a man. His guard can't abandon him too soon. His guard should be getting ready to come off here, but there's really nothing coming. Cincinnati just kind of cheats the play. They just kind of cheat the play. They basically – he would have had to broke his own offensive line rules on this play to go after it, so they can't really do anything. But they just casually push this guy 7 yards down the field, and it's not a pretty play. It's broken, and they still get, 7 yards off of it just because of being more physical than the guy across from them. You can win the NFL doing stuff like that. It's okay. Not every play, we don't have to have Tyreek Hill run a big circle on every play. I'm sure they'd like to get to the point where Andy Reid could just say, yep, we need a yard. Let's just go out here and run power or counter a couple of times.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Makes life a lot simpler on short yardage.
I thought this was just funny. It's just a little play side zone play. 43 is going to come off all fired up, and then You see, he just throws him off the screen on something as simple as this. And I know this is the big gap scheme, zone or gap scheme video. They're not going to go away from zone.
No.
And you think by listening to it, you'd be like, oh, plays like power and counter, these are going to be the real ass-kicking plays. The ass-kicking plays need to be these zone plays because really, more than anything, zone blocks depend on one-on-one blocking. They depend on one-on-one vertical movement rather than lateral positional blocking, like the Chiefs were able to get away with at times last year. He is going to get a little lateral. He's going to gain a little bit of width here. And then he's going to get into 43's body. And then he gets connected. He's going to grab underneath his arms. He's going to win the hand fighting battle here. And he's got hand leverage right away. He throws him away. And now this guy has realized he's made a very poor decision trying to come off that edge there. Not a great play, but you see the power he put through there.
Oh, yeah.
And then just for counter plays, I remember this play well. He can move in space, and they're going to be running counter on this play. And I believe he comes through and clears the way for his running back on this play. Or not his – oh, that was Lamar, my bad. Not well, I guess kind of still his running back a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, still a little bit. Yeah, this is we run this play all the time. Just a little quarterback counter. You're faking the outside zone away with the running back. Quarterback keeps it. Guard pulls kicks. Tackles wraps for one. It's a beautiful thing.
And you see how quick he is. You see how he's following. Myles Garrett actually does a decent job to come in here and make things hard. His center doesn't get a tremendous amount of push. Watch the big man get kind of skinny now. And you see here, there's confusion. There's confusion at some point down the line here, but he sees color, so you know what he's going to do? He's going to go out and hit it. And let's see here. I'm trying to figure out whose guy that was supposed to be up. I mean, I forget his name, but he was supposed to probably come off to this, if anything. But
they had such a light box, it doesn't even matter. They only had
right. It doesn't matter. But then you see the big man, and now he's attached, and now he's just going to finish this guy through as his guys go on to win.
That's an easy play.
We can speed through these because Kyle Long got hurt. I don't know how big of a factor he was going to be anyway from just hearing some of the things I've heard this week about it. But we could still see him late if there's an injury type situation. I'm not going to do too close. But, you know, his film was really rough from 2019, the last time he suited up. He does a good job on the backside of the zone block here, you know, and this is something this is kind of a similar type block to what we might see if they were on the play side of a power or counter. What he's going to do is he's going to go, as we see here, he's going to go be taking his steps. He's going to go and he's going to just try to get himself hip to hip with the tackle. And he goes with his outside foot first. He's going to be getting in, shouldering into this as his tackle comes down. And then he's going to be, basically as the inside player here, you have to be able to create contact and allow your your other player to come through and take over for you. So he's going to be covering half of his body, but you know, he's hurt, so I'll just kind of blow through these. It is unfortunate he got hurt, but it might open up another position for someone else along the offensive line.
Yeah, he's hurt, and then we're getting LDT back for the first time. You know, we haven't seen him all summer because he's been in Canada with the whole COVID situation. I'm not even sure if he was able to get over here immediately, but he's back, so.
That was the trap. That was the trap, like the first sure trap, I know. The Bears run very interesting things because this guy's not very good. They have to keep people on their feet. This is the trap, though, because he's going to be pulling around into, I think that's Shelby Harris right there. Interesting. Nice. That is, yeah. I wish the Chiefs would run a little bit of that. That could really, if they snuck Tyreek Hill into like a position where they could run a trap with him and steal everyone's eyes, that could be a home run immediately. And Kyle Long showing some athleticism, gets up, makes the cut, makes that linebacker take an awkward angle. And Cordero Patterson is a gazelle in the open.
Cordero Patterson should have been playing running back from day one. Somebody did him a disservice telling him to play wide receiver.
What was the deal? I don't get it.
That guy's so good with the ball in his hands. Just Not
Christ.
enough plays.
Bears were just not good this year. Look at one of their offense. I think it's 72 gets laid out here by 34.
Oh my god.
Dog, that's not what you. Is that
Yes.
is that Bobby?
Oh,
Is that Bobby Massey?
dude, you do not want to see that in the film room the next day.
You got blown up by someone half your.
That ain't good. That ain't good.
No, I'm glad we can move on from the Bears. Oh, I put
One more.
and just walling the guy out in zone. Nothing too special. And now one of the gentlemen I met the other night, Creed Humphrey. He's going to be the day one starting center. I don't think there's any question about that. What does he do really well? The reason I think one of these big, why are they going to run so much gap scheme? Why are they going to run so much power and counter? Is because Creed Humphrey is his biggest strength is probably back blocking. And as we can see here, I added the wide clip in, not really for much of a reason. I mean, you can see him in there. You see a lot better right here. Boom. He's back blocking. His job is he is going to be sealing back on this, and he is going to be trying to go through and basically just, he's going to try to wall this guy off from the rest of the world. And this is a pretty easy back block because this defensive tackle is really tight. He's not the most mobile guy in the world. He's going to win his first step. He's got to get a good first step in the ground. Now he's gotten his hips shifted over. And now look where his head is. To win this play, you have to have your head and hands winning on that outside shoulder, the defensive lineman, to keep him from getting in. And he does all that. He actually forces him into these guys. Now they've got the wall going. They've created a backside wall. That's exactly what you want. And that's such a big time win there.
Yeah, that's textbook right there.
Indeed, let's take a look at this one. He's going to be getting it again. It's another. Now, he doesn't do as good of a job on this play. Lets him into his body just a little bit. He gets into a little bit of a stalemate. He doesn't get quite as much movement. He is trying to wall him off. He's working hard. He's in position to win. But why do I like this play from him? Watch where he finishes this play. I mean, he is chasing that guy down the field, and he doesn't let him come off and make a play. Because really, in the back block type look, just as long as this guy isn't shooting over this way and getting in on the play, you've won the block. I mean, if he goes any direction in this way, he's already lost. You have to prevent him from going this way in. Credit to Creed on this play. He gets just enough. He has just enough firepower and effort to go in through here and win the play and keep the guy outside and not let him get anywhere involved in that play.
And guys, that's just counter. That's the counter that we show you. Guard, pull, kick, tackle, wrap for one. Center's blocking down.
It's not going to be unfamiliar plays. There's only so many plays the Chiefs are going to run, man.
Right.
The Chiefs run a very simple playbook, to be honest with you. They probably run one of the more simple playbooks in the NFL. It's just how they execute.
Run game wise, they definitely do.
I mean, run game, it's going to be as simple as it gets. Like zone, like I mentioned earlier about zone. They're not just going to completely abandon zone. This is outstanding. Completely covered, but it's zone. So even though he has a man head up on him, he is still going to be responsible for this zone right here and the A gap right here. Let's see what he does here. They do just an outstanding job of getting hip to hip on this play, and really it helps create the block because as we can see here, boom, eyes on the outside. This guy's in his zone technically. He can't come off of it yet though because he's got to wait on his guard, but he's in perfect position here. He's got this guy on half of his body, but he's still working his outside hand. His outside hand has nothing to do with it. He's just getting big and positioning himself because now 52 is going to come over. This is exactly what you want. 52 is getting ready to take over. But Creed should probably get up right here, but this guy gets out of his zone, so there's nothing to do here. He can't do anything about that. I guess just give credit to 11 on that play because that's just a good football play right there. And, some things go wrong on the front side, but getting back to where we were just at, I mean, this is a high-level football play, and it's high-level knowledge of football to be able to get into this kind of blocking position right here. He has an understanding for the game and how he needs to put his body to win, and I think that's a great example of it right there. Sometimes it's going to happen, you're not going to be able to get off of a guy. What did they do? Where this guy ended up, man. Let's look at where this guy started. Let's look at where he ends up at. How far do they physically move the nose tackle away from the line of scrimmage? What, 7 yards, 8 yards by the end of the play?
Mm-hmm.
And now we have another down block on this play. Really like this play because we are going to have to see him go a little bit wider than normal. But they've also got this head up guy on him. This is going to make things a little more interesting. Tackle's job on this play, he's got that jab pick. I think you called it something else earlier. I've always
Yeah, I called
called
it a
it
gap seal.
gap seal. Yeah, jab pick. It's the same thing. He's got to seal this gap off and then make sure there's nothing coming out of this gap. It's a little hard when you have a head up guy on you right here. But Creed's going to make this easy, and Creed's also going to make this easy because his guard, this is a tough back block right here. You'd be like, oh, well, they're getting ready to run a power, shouldn't this guy? No. Look at the alignment, 3-man front. So this tackle is going to be basically big on big here. You know, he might get a little support from the tight end, not a whole lot. That means this guard is going to be one-on-one with the nose, but Creed can help him out because Creed knows he's got a back block, but he can sit here long enough knowing the tackle's also going to sit here and pick, that he can just shoulder back into it and give his guard a second to come over and pick it up. And then now they can really start to sort stuff out because now look at this. Because of his patience and knowledge of what's going on this play, he has created a wall when it looks like the play side is a debacle right on this side. You can't tell what's going on. There's all kinds of stuff. You know, the running back is probably like, I don't know what's going on over here, but I do know I see three guys have created a wall on this side, and I can just go try to hit it if I want to. He decides to he says, screw all that. I'm just going to run around you guys. Sometimes that stuff happens. He could have, if he wanted to, maybe hit it up. It would have been hard. The guard would have had to get off at perfect timing, and they still would have had this guy. So probably a pretty good read by the back here, but still a pretty good play, you know, just to be able to seal that backside off and be able to see that, have that awareness from Creed there.
Absolutely.
And now we're getting down to the last guy we're going to watch film. The guy I've been showing everyone film of for a while now.
Oh yeah, big Trey day. I loved his quote. His quote recently basically was just like, yeah, I'm just trying to be the most physical dude I can and just beat the crap out of people every play, basically. It's like, yeah, love that.
That's incredible. I mean, he's so physical and he's so big. It's such an absolute joke that the Chiefs got him in the 6th round. I mean, what are 31 other teams afraid of? And I know some people were saying that's a lot of teams and a lot of rounds to pass up on. Well, there are only 2 teams playing the Super Bowl every year, and only 1 team is playing the Super Bowl the last 2 years. So maybe the Chiefs might know a thing or two that your favorite team doesn't know. But all I know is when I sit here and watch this play, it's going to be power. When I sit here and, you know, they shift the line. Ooh, they shift the line. Not phased, didn't phase him at all. He's just going to casually pull around, staying really tight, eyes on 15. 15 is going to try to seal in a little bit. He's going to make things a little difficult. He says, nope, all I'm going to do is log you. I'm going to fight off your stuff now. I'm going to throw you where you're off balance like this. And now I'm going to lock on you, and I'm going to finish you. I'm going to drive you into the ground, and I'm going to put you on my poster. This is exactly what the Chiefs need. They need to have people up front who just want to go to battle, who just want to physically dominate the man across from them. Look at that. I mean, if you're a defensive football player, that's a demoralizing position.
That is not the position you want to be in.
Where you want to be in. Because, first off, number one, this guy's way more athletic, way quicker probably than Trey Smith is. And he says, oh, well, I'm going to just try. You know, he basically takes the coward's way out on this play. He could have stood his ground here with Trey and saw what happens. We can see him. He just tries to slip off to the inside, not really doing his job too well on this play. And honestly, this should have been a bigger rips. This guy has a whiff here. But now you took the coward's way out, and now Trey Smith's got his full weight in you, and he's going to make you pay for all of it. And now, I mean, gets on top of you. And like I said, this is a really bad spot to be in if you're a defensive lineman. You do not like to be in that place.
No, that's like a line mauling a baby gazelle.
Pretty much. Shark attack in there. Look at this one. I'm trying to think of. Oh, yeah, he blocks a few people in this play. Number one, they're running zone here. Really great job by him, not just to run up and not to get stupid. He knows he's got to give his center a little time to help. So he's going to come here and he gets in perfectly. They've got their great combo block on up to 44 here. They're going to ride it. And there's no need to come off. 44 is being really patient here. You know what that means he has to be? He also has to be really patient. But look, is this guy's trying to get them to go lateral so that 44 can come up and then clog it up. Look as they start to get more vertical and they start to get further out as this play goes on. And then just at the last second, he sells out. I mean, if you look at 44, he waits a while. He waits as long as he can to pull the trigger. Smith sells out right there. This guy looks like he should be able to bend the arc, but Smith, I mean, he gets a hand, he gets a shoulder pad on him. He gets just enough to knock him off balance and to get him down there. And it probably gets his running back a couple of extra yards on that play. I mean, that's just sellout right there. And then just a major pancake. I mean,
Yeah, you could see the D tackle's knees start to buckle because he's just getting crushed by that combo block right before Smith comes out. He's just buckling in the way. He's like, I can't. I got to get down here. I'm getting crushed.
I mean, it's such a great block. That's a team block right there. I mean, that's just a team football play where the Chiefs are going to need a lot of that this year. Dude, he was just that defensive tackle was just getting mauled on. Here we go now. I'm trying to remember what this was. Just another zone play. Makes a mistake on this. He made a mistake, not the right play. He probably got a missing assignment on this play because as it is a zone play, even though his tackle does do the worst thing he can do, which is run out here really quickly on a play that's headed to him, because you see the defensive end's not a dummy. He's going to shoot out here. Even though the tackle that puts him on a bad spot, it's still got to be his zone to cover here in the B gap here. He should be the one to come in and pick this up, and his tackle should have to be the one that goes out. That's how that play should be. But what kind of gets cut off and what you don't see is he doesn't stop playing, even though he did have the mental error on this play. And he basically completely mauls that guy off the screen. That guy falls down. We can't see it. I forgot. I didn't get the wide view on this, but you could tell. And you guys are like, oh, that you might be a bad football player. Sometimes you're going to miss an assignment, okay? I want a guy on a play that's going to miss an assignment, be going 100 miles an hour, rather than kind of what his tackle did, miss an assignment by going kind of, half stepping out there, kind of getting out there quick and not really coming to the party. You know what I mean? Like the tackle gets out there fine, but then he doesn't really come to the party. This guy right here, he made up his mind. He said, well, I'm not going to get back inside, so I'm going to go make this guy pay. And at least he'll be thinking about that next time we run power or counter and I have to pull and go against him, which I'm sure this guy is thinking about.
Yeah, and these are the games that you'll see that defensive teams play a little bit here. They're doing a little bit of a gap exchange where DN's lined up in the C gap, linebackers got the B gap, and then on the snap, DN stunts into the B and the linebackers got the C. So, and that's why you got to be sound in your steps and sound in where you're going to. Like you said, a little bit of a mental error, but he finishes with physicality, which is hugely important.
Ooh, he made a mental error, but he also won a mental rep versus this guy because this guy is not going to forget what he did to him this play. He likes to beat people up. That's why he's been one of my that's why he's been probably the most fun player I've watched. And that is raw athletic ability.
And again, with the finish.
In the finish. You guys have no idea. Like, I saw this guy in person. This is the biggest person I've ever seen in my entire. Okay? Watch him move in space. Cut this guy off. He's won this. He is just now waiting on his tackle on the backside of this play and be able to catch up to him so he can go up to 52 here. And now he's basically blocking two guys at the same time. He's one-arm reach block the defensive tackle here. He's got the one-arm reach on. I'll slow it down, but you guys can see just a little bit. You can see that's a one-arm reach block right here. That's one of the hardest blocks to make in football for an offensive lineman. And now he's given this guy enough time. This guy's going to start to cheat over a little bit, but now he gets locked on and just a finish on top of him.
Every single play, he's trying to just bury somebody at the end of the play. He's finishing with physicality at the end of every single play.
You know why this play is so successful? First step. Explosion. He doesn't cross over. He doesn't do any of that. He just kind of opens up a little bit. He doesn't cross over. Look how square he is. Look at his hips on the angle. He sees everything he needs to, and now he's diagnosed. He's going to one-arm reach block this guy, win his shoulder, and then he's going to go pick off 53. And it's exactly what he does. Not everyone was built to play like that. Very few guys have the ability to be able to take that perfect of a step and run that athletically. Joe Tooney's one of those guys, and just another casual. Fivers. Tennessee didn't run a ton of gap scheme stuff. Tennessee was also not that fun, though. And I've watched a lot of Tennessee football, unfortunately. Let's take a look. Yeah.
Little combo again. Another nice combo.
Chiefs interior players have an awful lot of combo blocks and zone plays, and really in general, the Chiefs really rely on combo blocks between their interior players on a lot of plays, especially
on zone. You're going to combo on blocking down on gaps and stuff. So,
got one more here. Let's take a look. He does a fantastic job. He's playing at a higher level than his teammates can even handle sometimes. It's just crazy to think. But he diagnoses this so quick. Look, because I don't know what his center is doing. Because look at he's thinking, this guy's going to be coming through. He's like, the only way my center is going to have a chance is if I come here immediately and pick this guy off.
Right, so he reach the nose.
His center is a step slower than him.
You know, I think, you know what might be happening? It almost looks like the nose is almost holding him too.
That might also
trying to climb. You can see his shoulders kind of dive down. I think they're doing the old defensive holding on the line so they can't climb.
It could be. He sure comes in and tries to do his best to blow that crap up though. And then he's able to get around. Again, not an easy block for a guy that big because this guy, if they're trying to pull off a defensive holding and they did do it because the center is out of position, pretty difficult for Trey Smith still to be able to come over and completely reach block this guy and win this right here.
It might, honestly, watching that full speed, it might be that Trey Smith is just so fast that he just knocks the center off of it.
That's what I've been initially thinking, is that there was just some kind of miscommunication. Because I do think the center just kind of got bulled off the ball.
Yeah.
And you see, he's so quick. I was just looking at a little bit of pre-snap. You could see he's kind of eyeing this, just the way his helmet, his body's kind of tilted. He's got to be eyeing that at some point. And so he just fires off because this guy really looks like he's going to be coming downhill hard here, and they just can't quite get it pulled off. And now just one more. No, I don't know why I included that one. I think that one just ran over. Let's take a look at what he did, though. And I think his tackle's an idiot on this play. Doesn't this look like zone to you?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And his tackle, I don't know what his tackle's doing.
No, his
tackle should have the 4-eye there.
Yeah, he should be stepping down inside.
He should be stepping down, and Trey has a kill shot on the linebacker. And he really gets up and puts himself in a fantastic position very quickly.
Yeah.
So that's it for the offensive line breakdown. That's it for the offensive line highlights for that stuff. It's just an absolutely, what the Chiefs have done up front for their offensive line, how they've upgraded it, it's absolutely sensational. I don't think I've ever seen a rebuild like that for an offensive unit in a long time. The Chiefs defense a few years ago was kind of an upgrade. They went from very bad to this. The Chiefs offensive line this year is going to be going from backups, potential all-pro players across the board. And that's what I'm sitting here trying to say. There's people out here saying it might not be that much better. We saw what Mike Rivers could do. And Mike Rivers has been a borderline backup / starter. He's the swing guy. He's the prototypical swing guy.
Yep.
We see what he's able to do with the biggest game of his life, in the Super Bowl, and Andy Reid's offense. And you guys are going to sit here and tell me you don't think Orlando Brown could do a little bit better than that as a left tackle? You guys don't think that, Creed Humphrey can play a little bit better than Allegretti? You don't think that you're going to be Joe Tooney? pulling around. I mean, guys, this is going to be night and day. One of the biggest positional turnarounds in the history of the NFL from season to season. And a lot of it has to do with Andy Reid and Brett Veach. They did their scouting. The man it's going to come down to the most is probably one of the more underrated coaches in the NFL, Andy Heck. That guy has done more with less than any positional coach in the NFL, I would argue.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting. He's gonna have a stable full now though with a couple of those guys that we just showed that are in there. It's exciting. We hope that you guys like this. We did the Cornell Powell breakdown. Make sure you're checking that out on the YouTube channel, the Coaches Corner YouTube channel. But we're gonna keep doing this kind of stuff. Like we said, Caleb mentioned a little bit. It took us a little bit while just to get all the film collected and all that stuff. But we were able to get it done. So hope you guys are enjoying it. If you are, making sure you're smashing the like button on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio version, leave a 5-star review. Tell everybody what you like about the show. But if you are on the audio, I highly recommend go to the YouTube so you can check out all the clips that we just showed. We just had, I don't even know, probably almost 10 minutes full worth of O-line clips and scheme clips. So it's definitely worth your time to check out the YouTube channel. But Caleb, why don't you give some closing thoughts and we'll get out of here.
Man, I don't really have any closing thoughts. This was an awesome show. I mean, with my offensive line background, the last couple of weeks have been really interesting. Pretty much the last whole season for the Chiefs and everything that's happened. I mean, I feel like on this show, we've been hypothesizing even before last season started that there was probably an offensive line shakeup coming, and it came like we could never expected it. And then there were people out there thinking, "Oh, they're Beach can't go out and bring in more offensive linemen." Brett Beach goes out and brings in all the offensive linemen he can. And now we're here in this position now where they have a beautiful combination up front of experience and youth. And if Lucas Nyong film wasn't just so dang hard to come across, I'd probably have included some of that here also. But it is harder to find than most things out there. It's literally some of the hardest film I've ever tried to find. The
Someday
coaches
the someday the
not
NCAA will release some all 22 films so we can watch it. Someday.
someday I won't have to bootleg this stuff off.
I know exactly. But
No,
all right, you
but
can
you guys
find
can.
you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, y'all can find me on Twitter as always at CJ Scoops. Go ahead and check out all the stuff. Pretty much off season mode right now. Not a ton to write about. I'll be doing some sporadic writing. We're going to continue to do more of these videos because I do enjoy this rather than just posting 20-second clips. I do have an article probably be out Saturday, and it's going to be my 53 roster man prediction for the Chiefs right now.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at jdiz1617 as always. Great show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like we said, we really liked getting the stuff together and talking O-line play. We're obviously excited about what is going to be wildly different from we saw at the end of last year and in this last season. So they got some great players, and I think the scheme is going to match up nicely with what these players do, as we showed you. We got the film to kind of back that up and prove it. So appreciate everybody being here. We'll talk to you next time.